He had a buddy that worked in a farm next door, and the two of them conspired, and they both got paid on the end of the month type of thing, and they ran off. He literally rode the rails during you've seen the pictures of boxcars and guys in boxcars and riding the rails. He did it, begging for food, ended up in Saskatoon, got pneumonia. In those days, pneumonia could have killed you, but he survived and went on from there. At around 20 years old, his brother recommended that he apply to the RCMP, which he did, and he was accepted, and he did very well. He lasted 21 years. He lived numerous places, from Winnipeg to Gaspé to lots of small towns in New Brunswick, and he was an excellent police officer. He was from a one-to-one, he was as good as you could get. The problem was that as he progressed, he was made sergeant very early in his career because he was so good, and when that happens, they start moving you up into management. When they move you into management, that was his problem. Now he's not dealing with the man on the street, he's dealing with supervising other people. Then he ended up in Bathurst, New Brunswick, and he was in charge of a lot of the detachments. So we'd have to go around to the detachments and manage them, and that was not his forte. The handling and management of people was not his thing, and that's why he retired at 21 years. He was offered a commission, he turned it down, because if he had accepted, he would have had to stay until 30 years instead of 20 years, but in return his wife would have received the pension as opposed to, and if something happened to him. Then he moved to BC, no job, no prospects, likely no more than $1,000 in his pocket, 3 kids, and a pension of $167 a month. And he worked for my uncle on Clark and Venables, worked for the Shell station, pumping gas, if you can believe it, going from a high-end, respected, whatever, pumping gas, never complained, never complained. Then he went to work for Mackenzie White and Dunsmuir, and he recognized that the staff were stealing the company blind. He didn't want to be caught in the middle of anything, so he quit immediately. Went and bought a restaurant called the Rodo Lunch. Oh, God.
Tell some stories.
And worked that for a year and a half to 2 years, 7 days a week, long hours, hard work, no idea what they were doing. I remember Mom was serving and somebody asked for pie a la mode, and she didn't know what the hell that was. I mean, that's how bad it was. Anyway, ended up trading the restaurant for a house up in Capitol Hill. And the day we moved into the house, he told me he went into the bathroom and threw up.
Oh, wow.
That upsets me. Yeah, went from there to working for Shell Oil, Simpson Sears for a long time. Left Sears, went to sold real estate, excelled at that. Went and sold mobile homes, excelled at that. When the mobile owner cut his commission, and he was because he was making more than the president of the company, he got in his car, drove to Kelowna and quit. And he didn't have any respect for the company anymore. Went back to Sears, didn't retire from Sears at about 74, 75 in that area. And carried through from there. He never worked for a company that he absolutely didn't love. He loved Sears. He loved E.B. Gibbons Real Estate when he worked for him. Huge respect. Loved the RCMP. Didn't beat it to death. Positive about everything. And that was the secret to Dad's longevity, was the fact that he was always positive. He didn't want to hear negatives. He didn't want to discuss negatives. He didn't want to discuss health. He didn't want to hear about anybody. He just loved to hear the family was all doing well, healthy, no problems, that was his thing. Absolutely positive about everything. I don't know if I can go on too much. I'm old.
Deep breath.
I never thought about what I was even going to talk about, but that's, we all know in the latter years we were around him, you knew what he was all about. He wasn't, as you get older, you get nicer. He was always nice, but he was always supportive, never abusive. You got to be careful about arguing. If you wanted to say something that he didn't disagree with, he'd take you on. In the latter years, I mean, my goodness, we all know what he was like. He was just a hell of a guy. And ending, before I give a toast to this guy, when we were up, I don't know if I can say it.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can, Jack. Yeah.
You can do it. You can.
The last night before, when he died, Judy and I were up in the hospital, and he wasn't going to go. Judy was holding his hand, and I said, no, Judy, we have to go. He won't go as long as you're holding his hand, because he doesn't want to disappoint, and that's the theory that they can tell you. They won't let go because they don't want to disappoint you. And I said, we have to leave. So we left. And, woof.
He passed away about an hour later.
But I went up, and when I left, I rubbed his head, and I said, what a guy. And I meant, what a guy. So with that, should have a toast.
After her. Where's yours, Jack? Right here. Right here. This is down the hatch, as Dad would say.
Herbert Thomas Charles Wilson.
You'd be proud of this, Brad.
Y'all gonna know the way I just can't down a
I don't know.
Good for you, Kim. Wow.
It'll stop though.
Oh, I just get heartburn so badly. I can't. I love
Come on, have another, and I'm
Okay,
gonna
now
pull
before
my
this is over, Dad didn't start writing till he was about 75. He used to sit up in his apartment with his typewriter and write essays. And I've got a whole pile of them. And I'm going to get together with hopefully Larry, and I would love to print these things and get everybody a copy. But there's one that, I got several, but there's just one short one. I want to read it to you. August 17th, 1991. Self-diagnosis. Consider this. During the past year or more, a day has not passed in which I have not had one or more drinks of one kind or another. One or more. Liquor, usually 2, 3, or more. But seldom did I abuse the habit. Recently I decided that I would just take leave of this habit for a change. You see, I had not been feeling too great for a couple of weeks and thought that perhaps if I completely stopped inebriating, I might recover to my normal good health. In less than 2 days, I went into fairly serious depression. It was devastating. I didn't feel comfortable talking to people. My appetite was lousy. Sleeping was difficult. I continued, however, with planned abstinence for 4 days, at which point it became evident to me that this is what is known as a withdrawal period. 2 weeks later, now he's got this in the thing, now he's pulled it back out, put it back in the Traeger. 2 weeks later, no more abstinence. That's for the birds. However, we gotta watch it and not get carried away. That's for damn sure. The answer is to keep yourself in good spirits, whenever necessary. There's no other cure that I know of. So keep happy. I've had enough for today. So good night, Marie. I'll see you in my dreams.
He wrote very often, didn't he, Jack?
Yeah.
He'd sit at the typewriter and write these little blurbs that Jack has.
Oh, I've got them all.
Kept him happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it allowed him to communicate with himself and other people, but he never showed anybody these these things. I've got them.